We are live.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Lisa Waters-Vern, and I am the Director of Educational R&D here at Benetech. What that means is I'm responsible for our products that we create to help kids, especially those with disabilities, really access the educational environment in a way that works for them. I want to take a minute and introduce you to my colleague, Amaya, and then we'll get started with the webinar.
Hi, everybody. My name's Amaya Webster. I'm, like you said, a colleague of Lisa's. I work as a project, community, and program manager at Benetech, and will probably be your point person for any Mathshare related questions after this webinar. So I'm looking forward to diving in and getting to know everybody.
Great. So I'm just going to start us off. I know that many of you have Mathshare accounts and have used Mathshare multiple times, but I just wanted to kind of do a real quick recap as to why Mathshare, who's it for, and what can we do with it. And then Amaya's really going to spend time on that what can we do with it piece. She's going to talk to you about what are some of the things you can be doing today with Mathshare. So, oh, come on, next slide. So I have a picture here of a woman with her, or a girl with her hands in her hair, her elbows are on the table. She's doing some kind of schoolwork and she looks a little bit frustrated. Now, because we're in a webinar environment, I can't see necessarily, but maybe you can raise your hands. How many of you have students who look like this on a regular basis? I'm seeing quite a few hands going up, right? And some of the causes of this could be, hey, you know, I'm a little frustrated in general, or maybe the math is a little bit challenging for me. So some of the ways that math can be challenging are some of the things that we wanted to talk about today. Now, many of you are math teachers or work with math very regularly, so you know that math is very visual. What happens when you have students who can't see that math? That makes it a little bit more challenging for them to actually complete the math, or in my favorite phrase, show you what they know. Math is also a lot of writing. It requires fine motor and visual motor skills. But for those students who struggle with writing, or perhaps even have really horrible handwriting, it makes keeping their math work hard to organize. Oftentimes we hear teachers say, I have a student who struggles with writing their math down and then they don't line up their equations correctly. What's a way that we can, what can we do to help them keep their math in order? And then we have auditory learners. Some people really rely on that math being read to them. But it's not very independent when you have to wait for your teacher or your parent to read you an equation. So how do we work with them so that they understand their math so they can do it in a way that works for them? And then of course there's cognitive processing that goes with math. You need a working memory and you need to have attention. What happens if you're easily distracted or you lose your place on your page? Are you able to continue to do your math? These are some of the things that Mathshare thought about and some of the things that we talked to teachers about for years. What we wanted to do is we wanted to create a tool that would make math accessible for all of these students and students without disabilities. So many of you, I'm sure, have used worksheets like this, 21 plus x equals 26, 12 plus 2x equals 16, and it goes on and on and on. For those students who are in person and you hand them a worksheet, if they have some of those fine motor issues like we talked about, or maybe even just organizational issues, are they successful with this type of equation or with these types of problems being presented to them in that way? What about those who have math anxiety, who look at this and go, oh my God, I've got 10 problems. How am I going to do this? Where should I get started? And oh no, I've already wasted 5 minutes. What Mathshare does is it helps us break these down so it becomes a little bit easier for people to understand and to manage. We talk a lot about kids with disabilities because that's really what we do at Benetech. But what Mathshare is Mathshare is an inclusive tool that helps students share and organize their thinking. Before COVID, we had troubles when kids were in the classroom, but now we have an added struggle. We're not with those kids every day. So how do you give kids math equations and have a really good sense of, do they really know what they answered? Amaya likes to tell a story, and I'm going to steal this from her, but Amaya likes to tell a story from when she was younger. And she walked up to the board and she said, the answer is 5, or I think it was 5. We'll go with it, even if it wasn't. And the teachers were like, wow, she's brilliant. This kid looked at a math equation on the board and just solved it immediately. What they didn't know is that 5 is Amaya's favorite number, and it didn't matter what equation was going to be on the board, the answer was going to be 5. And that happens a lot with online equations, because what happens is when you do digital math, oftentimes it just asks for the answer. And so if you're brilliant like Amaya, you put in 5 until they realize you're putting in 5 for every equation, that maybe 5 isn't the right answer all the time. And so what Mathshare does is Mathshare lets students show their teachers and explain to their teachers why they've made the choices they've made. So no longer is it just putting in an answer and saying, I know the answer is 5. It's, I subtracted X from this and Y from that, and I got 5. It also helps teachers really understand where things go wrong. So when a student puts in an incorrect answer, where did they go wrong? Did they mess up in transcribing the numbers or transposing the numbers? Do they need a brush up on multiplication and division? It's hard to tell when you just see the answer. So with Mathshare, one of the things that we'll show when I show a demo in a minute is that students are able to actually keep their work organized and show their work to their teachers. And I mentioned before that sometimes students rely on equations being read out to them in order for them to understand them. Well, if you have to wait for the teacher to be in your group or a parent to come home from work, or not even home, but off their computer, you're going to be delaying your math work. We've built in some tools that help students actually work independently, whether they're at home or at school or a combination of both. So real quick, just to kind of recap, I want to make sure that you guys know how this works. The basic premise of this is we want to separate thinking into discrete steps, and I'll show you that in a second. We want a dedicated place to explain our thinking. And then we also want a Sketchpad, because that Sketchpad is going to be the thing that can help some students who actually have maybe motor issues or mouse issues, or maybe really rely on stacked math as opposed to linear math. So with this, I'm going to escape out for a minute, stop sharing for a second, and go and share Mathshare as a tool. Okay. It's always open until I need it, and then it's not open anymore. All right, real quick, sharing my screen. For those of you who are familiar with Mathshare, this might be a new picture for you. We're in the process of changing our user interface and how it looks and feels. And so over the next few weeks, you'll get a chance to see some of those updates. But we wanted to start with a new web page that just kind of brought you in. And so you'll have an option when you come to this web page. You can either watch the video and see how it works. But again, I know many of you are already pros, so you don't need that. You can either sign up if you haven't already, log in if you have, or try for free. And that's what I'm going to do today. So when I go into Mathshare, it brings me to a sample equation. What am I going to do with Mathshare? So I'm going to solve for X, my favorite thing to do. And I'm going to click on this button here. Well, it looks like I've already answered that question, so I'm going to go do a different one. So when we talked about some of the things, and Amaya is going to go into more depth about these accessibility features and why and who they're for, but I did mention that independence piece, that piece that would help students hear the equations without having to rely on their teachers.
Predict whether the solution will be positive, negative, or 0, and then solve for x9 minus 4x equals 4.
So if you didn't hear that, what you should have heard was predict whether the solution will be positive, negative, or 0, and then solve for x, 9 minus 4x equals 4. Now, Mathshare doesn't tell you whether you're right or wrong, and I might purposely make some mistakes in my math, but I'm doing that on purpose. So you can see that as the student puts in their work, you see what they can do when they do it. And so the very first thing I need to do here is predict whether a solution will be positive, negative, 0, and then solve for x. So I think this will be a negative. So I can either type in my answer or dictate it. I think the answer will be negative. Okay. And I've saved that. So now the teacher knows, okay, they predicted. Lisa thinks it's going to be negative. Let's see what she can do here. When I look at this equation, my first instinct is subtract 9 from both sides of the equation. I can either type it in with my keyboard, or I can do minus here. I can calculate it. And again, Amaya is going to go through more detail on this, or I can just delete it because I know that 9 minus 9 equals 0. I also need to subtract 9 from this side of the equation. So I'm going to go back over here and say, I subtracted 9 from both sides of the equation. Well, now I've got 4x equals, or negative 4x equals 4 minus 9. And I'm going to subtract 4 minus 9. And this time I'm going to use the calculate button because you can enable it or not, but it simplified it for me. And I know that now negative 4x equals -5. And so in this one, I forgot to add my step. So I want to undo that through my undo button and add my step. And that will show where I subtracted 9 from both sides of the equation. Now I'm going to do my calculation here. And I get 4x minus 5. Negative 4x equals -5. Subtracted 5 from, well, I subtracted 9 from 4. Okay, so I don't like what I wrote there. Subtract 9 from 4. I'm going to add my step. Okay, well, let's assume that we wanted to use the Sketchpad. Maybe it's going to get a little bit too complicated here to do it this way. I have an option that I can go to my Sketchpad and do -4x equals -5. Okay, and I'm going to subtract both sides of the equation by 4. Actually, I can subtract both sides of the equation by -4. And I can say then x equals 5/4. Okay. I divided both sides of the equation by -4. Add my step. And you'll see in the Sketchpad here, it captured everything that I sketched. So again, you know, when you're asking someone to put something in on a computer and you're only asking for the answer, you don't really actually get to see their work. Mathshare enables you to see their work. And so, so I did that there, but I should also have it reflect here, just so you know what I've done. Divided by negative, or sorry, my division is right here, divided, -4 divided by -4, and -5 divided by -4, okay? And I'm gonna erase this because I know that's 0, and this 2 negatives become positive. So x equals 5/4. So I cleaned it up and solved x equals 5/4. Add my step. Now I'm done. But remember when I predicted earlier and I said, oops, I can delete that. All right, now I'm going to add my step. Remember when I predicted that it would be negative? Well, it's not. It's actually positive. So just because I've answered it already doesn't mean I'm stuck with that. I can go back at any of the steps and make changes. So in this case, I'm going to change this to I think the answer will be positive. And update my step. And now I can finish. And so if I were logged in, it would either go through my Google Classroom or my Microsoft Team. But since I'm not, I copy my work link and I can either email or send that to my teacher and my teacher can see my work. So with this, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because I want to see, I saw that there were some questions that came in and some chats, and I wanted to make sure we addressed that before we moved on. But that's just sort of the overview of Mathshare. That's what Mathshare can do with your students today. Now I used an algebraic equation, but you can use simple equations. You can do 2 + 2. You can do a lot of different things with Mathshare, and it was designed that way so that you could use the math that works for you. So in our Q&A, it says if a student has a touch screen computer, will it respond to a syllabus or stylus? Sorry, not syllabus, very different. So we actually, as part of this launch that we have coming out this week, we are integrating and updating to include mobile and tablet usage, which in the past Mathshare was not optimized to be used on a tablet or a phone. And it was for that reason of using the stylus. So to be able to use that with the phone or with the tablet. So if the computer works similar to how the tablet works, then the answer would be, it should respond with the stylus. So yes. And then in the chat box, we have 2 questions. Oh, I think one's from Amaya. Oh, and Amaya, one of the questions Amaya was actually going to go over was, should we sign in? So I won't even answer that because I know she's going to want to talk about that. So with that, if you don't have any other questions, or if you do, you can still put them in the chat box, or the Q&A box. But I'm going to actually hand it over to Amaya, because most of what I showed you should not be new. Most of what I showed you should be things that you already know how to do and are already doing with your students. Now I'm going to have Amaya kind of talk you through, how do you enhance that experience that you have so that you can make sure you're using this more efficiently with your students. And Amaya, we'll get to that question in a second, okay?
That sounds good. And thank you, Lisa. So as Lisa said, I'm going to be going over some accessibility features and also some of the things that you can do with your account once you're logged into Mathshare. One of the things that's nice about Mathshare is that it really has been designed to be accessible. Just general accessibility features, the layout and user interface of Mathshare. It has a simple layout with the colors, fonts, and icons intentionally chosen to be clear, non-distracting, and easy to read. For example, there's larger fonts, high contrast, colors that are easy to tell apart. But we also know that all students learn differently and have different types of learning styles, as well as different types of disabilities sometimes. So we've included specific accessibility features that are targeted to different groups, which is what I will go over now. Lisa, did you want to share your screen and go through the PowerPoint slides?
Yes, I'm also answering a question. So I will be answering some questions in the chat, in the Q&A as well.
Well, she is answering questions. And before we get into the slides, I'll just briefly, she's so fast. So the types of groups that we have specific accessibility features for are students who have dyslexia or dyscalculia. There's features for people who are blind or low vision. And then there's features for students who might have learning disabilities or ADD, ADHD, etc. If you want to go to the next slide, Lisa. So as I mentioned, and we'll go through the ones for dyslexia and dyscalculia first, there's the synchronized highlighting. That's when the equation or what the text is highlighted as it's spoken out loud. Not only is this good for the targeted audience, but it's also really good for people who have difficulty differentiating math terms, as well as people who have attention processing issues. Our next feature is the text to speech, which is what Lisa demonstrated when it reads out to you. So that's speaking the equations and explanations for each step out loud. Again, this is good for people who have dyslexia or dyscalculia, but also who are blind or low vision, have difficulty reading math, or still learning to read math. And these two specifically really foster independence, because it means students who are relying on teachers, parents, siblings, peers to read them the equations, read them the steps, read them the instructions, don't need to do that anymore. They're able to now do it on their own. And then we have the speech to text. That is what Lisa was demonstrating when she used the dictate button to actually speak her steps. That is good for our target audience, as well as anyone who has difficulty writing or typing, spelling, or fine motor impairments, me. And then lastly, in this area, we have the Sketchpad. And that is also good for people with math anxiety, people who have difficulty with numbers or typing, and for visual learners, people who really need to see it in order to understand it. Next slide, please. Okay, our next target audience are the students with LD, ADD, ADHD, and all of these features look at keeping things clear and organized. As Lisa mentioned before, we have that step delineation. So all the problems are presented in steps. You go through them step by step. So it really keeps things clear and easy to understand. This is also good for people who have difficulty with executive functioning and people who have difficulty with math anxiety, because it just keeps things really clean and in place. Then we have the crossout function. That's when you have symbols you can cross out with the big X, like symbols, or the number next to the variable, or however you're doing that. And as a part of that, once you add your step, we get to the next feature, which is the cleanup feature. And that will simplify it all for you, takes out the X and actually shows what the problem would look like. That really good for visual learners, really good for people who have math anxiety, really good for people who just need things to be clean and organized in order to concentrate. Then we have, so that was step delineation, cross out, cleanup. Can we go on, Lisa? And then we have calculate, and Lisa showed that as well. And that's when if you have simple equations with like numbers, no variables, but you can highlight it and it'll actually do that calculation for you. This is good for somebody who can't use a calculator, who has math anxiety and maybe makes, or attention processing issues, maybe makes mistakes, not because they don't know it, but just because they're making what we used to call careless errors. And again, students with fine motor difficulties or executive dysfunction. Yeah, we can show the cross-out feature. Let me go through the rest, and then right after the Q&A, we'll show you that cross-out function. And I'm going right into, speaking of the rest of the accessibility functions, the ones that are really geared towards blind or low vision students was the keyboard shortcuts, which we haven't shown, but those are like, you know, Control C or Control V, the way we use them, except there's targeted ones for Mathshare. And there's a list of all of those in our help center, if anybody would like more information on what those are. And then of course, you know, they're screen reader accessible. It's optimized for Google Chrome and NVDA. And that is our accessibility features. So there's a lot, and they're really targeted to different people as well as general as well. Are there any questions on that before we move into just some tips and tricks of using your account while you are logged in? If not, then Lisa, are you going to demo the crossout and then we can jump into tips and tricks?
Sure.
Okay.
So I go into this equation and I'm going to solve, I've already solved this equation, which means that I'm done. This one too. I have been busy today solving equations. Okay. I know I have not done this one. There we go. So in this case, where we would do -8 on both sides of the equation, I can cross that out. It's just hitting the cross out button. And then -8 on this side as well. And it would cross it out. And I could then put in the answer. So where I had the cross out of 8 minus 8, or -8 minus 8, actually, it would be +8, wouldn't it? All right, well, let's undo that because I did the equation wrong. But you got a sense of what it, how easy it is. So -8 plus 8. There we go. I'm going to cross out and then I put in my 0. So now I have 0 plus 5x, or I can even take out that 0 and the plus and just do 5x equals 20, -20 plus 8. Cross that out, right? And get 12. And then I would say what I did and I would then go on. So I added 8 to both sides of the equation. Added 8 to both sides of the equation. Oops, and I want to get rid of the SOI and add my step. Okay, the next question we have, how are the problems added and shared to the student? That's a great question, Michelle. So one of the things here, we brought you right into Solve for X, but if you go into Mathshare, you can actually create a problem set yourself. And this is what we recommend for teachers to do. You can click on this, you can determine if you need all of these palettes or not. You may not. The equation I'm going to put in, I don't need notations, and I'm not using geometry. So I'm just going to keep my operators and my editing functions. Hit my next button, and I'm going to date it to webinar today. Save that. And I'm going to add a new equation. So add a new problem. I'm going to hit the plus sign and come in here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put in your prompt. So our prompt is to solve for X in this case, like we've been doing. And we want to make sure we put that in. So use the mic to add the prompt, solve for X. Okay, add problem. So actually I add the problem. I didn't just add a step, but I can go back into that problem and edit that as well. But let's start here. Okay, so we solve for X and our equation is 2x plus 7 equals 16. Okay. And then that's all I need to do here. I add my problem here. Oops, sorry. Problem title, solve for X. There we go. Oops.
And also, while Lisa's doing this, Lisa really likes the dictate button, but you can also type in this box as she just did. So you don't have to use the dictate button. It's just an option.
And then when I'm done, I would copy my work link, and either if I was logged into Google Classroom, I would be able to share that through my Google Classroom or my Microsoft Teams, or in this case, I could copy and paste and put it into Schoology or Canvas, or I could even just email the student, and that's how they'd get the problems.
And if you want to share it through Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, there's 3 dots next to the webinar today. You would click on that and it opens the option to share the problem set. And then it will give you the choice between Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams from there.
Okay. And the next question that Jacqueline has is, would teachers be able to input word problems? So yes, you can actually put in word problems. To give you an example, if I come back out here, you'll see that there's a bunch of just different pre-made sets, but you can put in word problems as well. Now, as far as how far up it goes in math, well, oftentimes we get questions about how far down it goes, but as far as how far up, we are actually working to put in more geometry, calculus, and statistics functioning. I'd say for right now, it's optimized for algebra and under. But keep watching and keep using Mathshare, because I think that you'll see that is being integrated in the very near term. So hopefully that answered your question. Now, anonymous attendee wants me to show an example using fractions and borrowing and carrying, and I may defer to Amaya, who's a little bit more math savvy than I. Yeah, we can try. But the borrowing and carrying, so that requires subscript, so we'd have to play around with that a little bit. I'm going to ask this attendee to send me an email, or send Amaya an email at mathshare@benetech.org, and we can actually go through and set up a training, or just kind of a work through to do that specifically with you, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
I need to remember how to do fractions before I can do that as an example, to be honest.
All right. Could a student input their own problem? Absolutely. So one of the things in the last few months that we added in was the ability for students and parents to also put in their own equations. They can solve their own equations, so they can put in the equation and then they can solve it and share it. Because we know that that's definitely a need. It's not just what's been assigned to them, but sometimes maybe either they have homework that they want to do, or maybe they want extra practice. And so we've enabled that to happen. So. All right, next question is, hold on, cancel. Okay, so Jacqueline has high school, thank you. Done. Will PowerPoint be shared? So we can show the PowerPoint. Again, if you send us an email at mathshare@benetech.org, we're absolutely happy to share the PowerPoint. We'll also have a recording on our YouTube channel, so you can always go back and review this webinar as such. And the other thing is, as I mentioned earlier to the anonymous user, Amaya and I are more than willing to host trainings or review sessions. If this was too much too fast, we can set up some time that we can meet with you and colleagues of yours to kind of walk them through as well. So you'd want to send that email to mathshare@benetech.org.
And Lisa's in the East Coast, I'm in the West Coast, so we can also cover pretty much all time zones as needed.
And then can you show us how students can use to do simple 2-digit by 2-digit equations? And I am actually struggling with the word digit today. I apologize. Okay, so similar, where we want to add a problem. So 54 plus 76 equals X, right? Like you could put that in, not a problem. That's not a plus, equals, right? That could be your entire problem, and that could be shared with your student. Now, one of the things that Mathshare does not currently do is that stacked equation. So where you would actually have them add the 4 and the 6 and carry the 1 to the 7 and the 5, right? But that's why for those who can actually use the Sketchpad, that's a really great place for them to actually do that kind of work. But yeah, any kind of equations, like I said, from algebra down are pretty standard to be able to put into Mathshare.
And one thing that I'll add is, if you're doing simpler equations like this, you can disable the calculate palette so that they are forced to actually do the work, not just the calculate, if you want.
Great. And so the next question is, will each student get an individual copy of the problem set if shared through a link in Schoology? So yes, so you would share it out. So I don't have a ton of experience with Schoology myself, but in my Google Classroom, what it does is I send my link, and then Amaya gets that link, and I get that link, and everyone else that I've put into my classroom gets that link, and then they'll solve it and share it back with you. So it's not like it's a group work doing all the same problem. So you want to make sure it's sent individually to the students. But yeah.
And you can say, like, at least in Google Classrooms, you can say, like, I want to send it to all my students, or I want to send it to just this student or these students.
Okay, so the next question is new to Mathshare. Is this a program for teachers to assign problems for students and or a program that allows students to access help? So we are not a tutoring service. We are more of a math editor. And so if you think about how you would use math on pencil and paper, we do that in a digital form where you have the same capability to be able to see their work and show their work. So no, we don't have anyone who would actually go through the equations and say, okay, you need help. We've designed it this way so that you as an educator can look at the work that your students are doing, see where they need help, and then you can personalize the work from there. And the last question I have right now is, any thoughts about adding a grid background that digits line up? That's a really great idea. And so thank you. We appreciate that. We are constantly improving and adding new features and functionality into Mathshare. And so that's definitely something that we will pass on to the product team and see where that fits into the roadmap for sure. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? Oh, we got another one. Hold on. Can you let us know about adding features like exploring a completed problem set of problems? I'm asking because Mathshare sometimes does not save work even when you're logged in. So May, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so if it's not saving your work when you're logged in, that sounds like a bug. And it would be great if you could give us an example of when that's happening, and like reach out and let us know, because that's something that we would need to work on. But exporting a completed problem or problem set, if you go back to the dashboard, there's the option to share your answers. If you're, and again, you have to be logged in. And in fact, I can, if Lisa doesn't mind, logging in. Oh, I was gonna say, if you wanted to share, we could go through the tips and tricks like in real time.
Oh, you want me to go back? Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Because then we can look at it. So if she were to log in the top right corner, she can log into her account. And here you can see you can do through Google or Microsoft. And now you have like all the recent sets that you worked on and pre-made sets that are already pre-populated. And so if you choose one of these sets, any of them are fine, you have this option to share my answers. And when you do that, that is going to give you the ability to export the problem sets either to Google Classroom or to Microsoft Teams, or copying and pasting this link, in which case you can email it to your teacher or paste it into a different program that you're using. And again, if it's not doing that for some reason, then that's a bug, and please let us know. And then oh, sorry, Lisa.
I was just saying, and then you can assign it. So I was clicked on default of all students, but you could then change in Google, you can change and say who you want to send it to.
And for Krista's question, so when you're sharing a problem set in Google Classroom, Mathshare it'll automatically open once they're logged into the classroom. So they'll go into their Google Classroom, they'll see that you've assigned them a set, they'll click on it, and then Mathshare will open for them. I love the idea of adding graphing features in the future. As Lisa has mentioned, we're always thinking of the next feature, the next thing that we want to add. And I think that's a great thing to bring up. So we will note it, and really, really appreciate feedback on what would be useful to the people using it. So thank you for that. And then we have, could this be used in a testing center? So it's a good question, and it's been asked before. Yes, technically it could. The concern would be that there's no way to, as of now, there's no way to randomize the order that people are getting the questions. Like they're all just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you have students that are the cheating type and it's virtual, they could easily text each other the answers because they all have the same problems. But if you're all like in the same space and that can be monitored, then yeah, it could be used for testing. This teacher would still need to do the grading. It won't grade on its own, but you would just probably want to like take out the calculate section.
So I have to say, just the last time we were asked this question, the answer was yes, they can totally use it as they're being tested, right? Because everybody gets their own individual link. And then it was a district that said, yeah, but we have kids who are texting each other because they're virtual. And so we're like, oh, okay, that was an unforeseen side effect of some of this hybrid learning. So yeah. And then, sorry. We had one more question. Donnie had asked a question. So student answers questions provided by a teacher, and then the student has access to the answer from the student. Yes. So what the student will do is the student will submit their work. So again, if they're in Google Classroom, they submit their work, and then the teacher can see when it's done. If they're not logged in, or if you're not using an LMS platform, a student could email you. So let me go back real quick. When we were looking at some of the problems to solve for X, oh, I'm logged in right now, but let's say I wasn't logged in anymore. See this copy work link? Now that I've completed these questions and I've done maybe 5 out of 7 of them, I can send this link to my teacher and the teacher will see all of my work.
And yes, the calculate feature can be blocked. It's one of the panels, like one of the symbols that you can choose. So you can just uncheck that box and then it won't be included.
Great.
Lisa, if you want to be logged back in, we could talk about the personalization settings, which is my tip number 2 or 3. I feel like we've gone out of order now.
Okay.
So one of the tips for using Mathshare, once you're logged in, you have access to personalization features. And to access those, you click on your little avatar, which in this case is the L. And you'll see the personalization settings, which is a gear icon. And here you can choose from 5 different fonts. There's the Open Dyslexic, which I think is pretty self-explanatory, and then different types of fonts that present differently. So it helps, like if you like things really big, if you like things small, if you like thick lines, thin lines, etc. Then you can control the line height and letter spacing, which is, again, good for students with dyslexia. It's also good for low vision students. It can just be a matter of personal preference. Alert closing time. When Lisa logged in, a little box popped up that said it was logging her in. The alert closing time controls how long those alerts are visible on the screen. And then lastly, there's the text-to-speech speed. So that voice that's reading out the equations and the steps, you can control how fast that's going to go. And again, these are only available if you're logged in.
Okay, so I clearly made this a little bit bigger than I wanted, but this is the Open Dyslexic font with more spacing and slightly larger. So just to show you, it looks very different than it did when we showed the equations before. And then we do have another question with, does Mathshare link to Canvas? Is Mathshare set up like Bookshare? So does Mathshare link to Canvas? Again, you can use that, you can copy that link that I showed you in the, here, let's see, it should be up here. I'm logged in again, sorry, logging out again. Sign out. You can copy this link and share it within Canvas, and your students can access it through Canvas as well. Is it set up like Mathshare or Bookshare? So no, actually, we don't have any really, we don't have a teacher dashboard per se, like you do in Bookshare, where you can add all your students to it in the Mathshare tool. Because people are using it with their platforms, their LMS platforms like Canvas and Schoology, Blackboard, Google, most of that is done in there anyway. And so it's sort of a tool that enhances a lot of those learning platforms.
Yeah, and we see Mathshare very much as an enhancement and not something that you would have to use in addition to, unless you want to. And then, I mean, it can be used as a standalone.
And then are there voice options? Amaya, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. So as of now, there's only one voice option available for Mathshare. We have experimented with what happens if you change the voices like that your system is using. And sometimes, at least for me in my own personal testing, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I would operate under the belief that as of now, you can't currently change the voice.
Great. Well, we are welcome to answer a few more questions if you have more time, but we also want to be cognizant of your time, and we're almost at that point. We appreciate you being with us today and asking questions and sitting with us. In the next week or so, you'll be getting a notification about our mobile capabilities. As I mentioned earlier, Mathshare was not optimized for use on mobile. And so we'll be rolling that out with the new look and feel. I think you guys are really going to like it. We worked with some designers to make sure that the color schemes really enhance accessibility, and that the workflow is also enhanced as well. And so Amaya, you'll be getting an email from Amaya that will tell you, hey, come join us for this mobile. Again, if you can't make it, or if there's, if you have other questions, you can either go to our YouTube page, or you could send us an email, and we're more than happy to walk you through the work that we've shown you today, or any other kind of work that you have questions on with Mathshare.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. I'll just echo the sentiment of thanking everybody for coming and for your engagement and your interest. And we'll encourage you to reach out and be in contact with me, because I'm always happy to answer questions. I like doing demos. We like getting your feedback. So definitely be in touch.
Great. And we did have one more question. Sorry, I know we said our goodbyes, but Mathshare able to be used for upper division math, i.e. pre-calc or trig. And so, like I said, Mathshare is optimized for algebra and below, but we are constantly improving and constantly putting in more features. And so we do have aspirations to add in more advanced math like calculus and trigonometry as well. Well, great, everyone. Well, we thank you again for your time. And again, please feel free to reach out to us, and we look forward to hearing from you. And let us know if you have any questions, concerns, or improvements, enhancement ideas for Mathshare. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.